What's up, everybody? Brady Figuel here, coming at you with a review for the new Vacant Home record, Can You Show Me Who I Am, released this past Friday, January 24th. Much like I said in my last video about the new Swept to Sea album, I discovered this album through Aaron and his channel Among the Fence, and his New Music Friday series where he covers the new releases that are coming out on that Friday. So shout out to Aaron. I'm going to be putting a link to his channel in the description of this video, as I did in the last video too, so definitely check his channel out. And Aaron, all I gotta say, man, is thank you. Because this album is my favorite album I have heard this year so far. And in this video, I'm gonna be unpacking all those reasons why. As far as what this band sounds like, to me, they really embody post-hardcore. When I first heard this album, just from the sound of it, it immediately brought to mind Touche Amore. Most prominently with the that specific vocal style being used over very atmospheric and clean music, which is one of my very favorite aspects about this album, just the overall sound of it. First off, production-wise, it is borderline flawless in my opinion. Most notably on the guitars. I love how these guitars sound. They're so distinct, yet so drowned out and atmospheric at the same time. And as a result, the melodies on display here feel like they're just absorbing me into the sound. Those melodies are another compliment I'm going to have, but right now, just focusing on the production, they would not have encapsulated me in as much, I feel like, if it was a more polished or at the forefront style of production. The drums, too, very, very distinct, yet not super pushed to the forefront or overly polished. And these vocals are just beautifully produced. The harsh vocals on here are produced in such a way that they sound like so raw, but also still smooth and clean at the same time. And these clean vocals are absolutely beautiful. Every time they come in, I just find myself mesmerized by them. Most notably on the track Lilac Reflection, which is one of my very favorite tracks on this record. I was already so into this song when those like low register clean vocals hit, but then that harmony got added to it, and like it's like those AI posts on Facebook where it shows 5 songs from a band and it goes from like your normal and you just transcend further into the galaxy. I was the galaxy when those vocal harmonies kicked in. They almost give me subtle elements of like shoegaze. I wouldn't call this a shoegaze album by any means, but they just fit the music so well. The only place I felt fine was with You. That was another track where just those clean vocals were so perfectly done and produced. That midsection when they kick in, which leads into one of my favorite musical moments on the entire album. When you get those clean vocals and then you get that scream section that repeats it, which then just transcends and explodes into just this lively, I don't even know how to describe this moment. But it occurs at exactly the 3-minute mark. And keep in mind, this is all just me complimenting how masterfully this album is produced so far. But to switch gears over to the songwriting on this album, I think the best way I can sum all of the songwriting up is just some of the most emotive music I've heard in recent memory. The melodies of these songs are just so dark and haunting and dismal. They're just like pure despair and raw emotion. Some examples of this, that main chord progression in track 2, The Thoughts We Can't Reclaim, that appears in multiple parts, most notably for me over that clean vocal section, where they just like ominously sound like they're chiming in the background. But the melodies themselves are just so bleak in the best way possible. You know, for all these reasons though, I'm just realizing this now, I could see this album being appealing to like black metal fans. If they can deal with going a bit more melodic, like that's how emotional these melodies are. The intro to the song Weathered is another moment on this album where, in this case, they feel like they are at the forefront, mostly because they're exhibiting these real dark, melancholy melodies without any vocals over them. It allows that song to just uneasily creep in on you. One of the most compelling tracks on this record is the track It Stays the Same, which starts off like real bright and almost hopeful sounding, which also at the time is reflecting in the lyrics. But then like just over 30 seconds through, this ugly mood shift starts to creep in. At the same time that the lyrics on here start talking about questioning yourself more. And then at the 124 mark, one of the absolute darkest, moodiest chord progressions just hits. And then the way this song ends just feels like raw anger when the vocalist is just screaming, "Give me the chance, give me a chance." Just in this individual song, there's just such a broad array of emotions. There's like this emotional story you could follow with this song. And lyrically, which talk about the lyrics later, but the way the music just perfectly complements these lyrics is just, this is pure brilliant songwriting. So I reviewed the new Idola record last week, and if you're a fan of this band, maybe check that record and check my review of that record out. But one of my strong criticisms that I had for that album was the execution of the ballad, which was a love song. I just thought that for a ballad and for a love song, that song was just really corny, essentially. And, listening to these songs, I think Idola needs to take notes from these guys on how to write a fucking love song. Most notably, the only place I felt fine was with you. This is a love song with beautiful lyrics and beautiful music, whether it's that twangy guitar in the intro. And I've already singled out that transcended moment right at the 3-minute mark. But these lyrics too, they perfectly encapsulate and describe what it feels like to love somebody. The closing track, "You'll Find Yourself in Someone Else," manages to so delicately walk this fine line between hopeful and dismal. I don't know how this song does it. This whole song has those groaning background vocals that give it just this amazing extra layer of ambiance. But some of the lyrics on the song do actually bring in feelings of hope. Just read the title. "You'll find yourself in someone else." That's essentially saying true love exists. And the last minute of this song just has those haunting synthesizers and backing vocals carrying the rest of the song until it kind of just fades out into static. The track "Knife's Edge" tells this incredibly tense story of what sounds like the narrator maybe saving a loved one from a suicide attempt. I never want to assume lyrics, especially with lyrics that are this deep and meaningful and personal, obviously. That's just what I got from it, but I might be wrong. But the music builds that tension that this story tells, again, just so perfectly. And then there's the song "Lilac Reflection." Some of the most beautiful lyrics I've ever heard and read. These, again, are a perfect execution of a love song. But with this song, again, just from what I'm getting, I feel like this song is more directed at maybe the narrator's child or a younger sibling. Like when he says, "There's an innocence in your eyes that I hoped you'd carry for me." And later in the song, he says, "I'll fall so you can bloom and grow." And again, I already kind of talked about the music in this song earlier, but just, again, with those vocal harmonies kick in, that is just unreal. And I liked how this song definitely set itself apart from the other songs on here by being a bit more slower and methodical, and also being the most melodic track on here. But yeah, again, literally everything about this song. The clean vocal section at the end is another amazing part on this album. And I haven't talked about the opening track yet, "Flaws," either, I'm just realizing. And that's another one that it's such a good way to start this album. The ambiance kind of slowly creeps in, and then you immediately get hit with those atmospheric guitars and those more hardcore, punky drums. The bookend songs on here are just as good as the meat of the record. Really, the only reason this album isn't getting a perfect score for me is just because of the interludes. "Will I Ever See You Again" is an instrumental track. I shouldn't call that one an interlude, but I don't think it adds anything to the album. The guitars on this song and the melodies are cool, as they are on the entire record, but I don't think they add enough of an emotive idea or differentiation, just in comparison with the other tracks on here. And then the title track, which is the second to last track on the record, is pretty much just a full-on interlude. Again, not bad by any means. It really adds nothing to the album. I don't think, again, those synth melodies that weave in and out, they sound nice, but just the ideas and the actual melodies don't add anything to the album. I'm sorry. But I will say there was not a single bad musical idea on this entire album. But the music is wonderfully written. The lyrics are wonderfully written. The record is literally masterfully produced. It's arranged beautifully. I think even if you take out the 2 interlude tracks, it still is perfectly arranged. Without those 2 tracks, I think this would be an easy 30 out of 30. But with them, I'm just going to take off a point for each track. So this album gets a score of 28 out of 30 for me. So yeah, regardless of what music you listen to personally, I highly encourage you to check out this album. That's how good it is. And yeah, that's about all I have. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this album below, though. And thank you as always for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.